Welcome to Tim's TV. Today we're going to talk about the TransPay convention that went on in Dallas in February of 2007. The TransPay convention is a financial and banking convention that happens every year. The purpose of it is for the banking and financial services community to get together to talk about the future of checks and credit and debit cards and the future of the financial industry. What does this have to do with the average consumer? The important thing about this convention is that the banks would like to migrate away from checks, and the end of written checks has been predicted since the 70s. Truth of the matter is, checks aren't going away anytime soon. But it's important for consumers to realize that checks cost the bank and the financial services money. Therefore, it costs the customer money. Now, checks have a higher rate of fraud, and they have a great deal of expense for the banks. Expense number one, they have to process all the checks that you write, and then those checks, either an image of the check or the actual physical check, has to go to the Federal Reserve banks that are close to wherever your bank is headquartered. This is extremely expensive to ship thousands or hundreds of thousands of checks a day to the Federal Reserve. So a lot of companies use check imaging. When you go into a store and they run your check through and then they hand the check back to you. That's a check imaging machine that takes photos of the check and then sends it to the bank that end up at the Federal Reserve. Now, if they take your check, whether you mail it in or if the store that you write a check out to takes your check and keeps it, they have to ship it to the bank, and then the bank has to ship it to the Federal Reserve. Very expensive, requires a great deal of security. It's a lot easier for banks to give you check cards or debit cards or credit cards because there's less paper to deal with, and the more paper the bank and the merchant has to deal with, the more it costs them, and eventually the more it costs you and the rest of us, because the banks have to recoup that money. In addition, checks have a larger fraud rate than credit or debit cards. The nice thing about this convention is that the financial industries are gradually reducing the use of checks, which reduce our banking cost. The TransPay convention was very informative, had a lot of great companies, a lot of great information that will eventually help the consumers in the United States and around the world. Thank you for watching Tim's TV.